module we'll cover how to create quizzes and practices and how to reuse existing questions from other quizzes to create one quickly. So let's go and search for a quiz. Let's see for something on angles. See, it has a lesson. I have measuring the angles, types of angles as an assessment. So I select that. What I get now is 5 questions on angles. They're all single choice questions. You can see some of them have help, these don't have help or hints. Now, once I have selected an assessment, I have multiple options here. I can go and edit a question. Let's say I click edit. It tells me a lot about the question. It tells me the question, I can add images to this, I can change this. Tells me the 4 options that I have. In this case, question is this an acute angle? Yes, this is the right one. Okay, you know what? Most of my students really don't know how to read well. So I can attach a sound file that I've recorded, which will describe the word acute angle. I can add sound file to actually read out the question too over here. So I can pick a sound file that would read it out. The only catch is you have to record the sound file in another software now to add it. We will slowly be adding the facility in this part itself. The other thing is there's no help here. So you could have said if the student actually clicks on acute angle, you could say bravo. If they picked one of the other options, you could have given them the help that is needed to come back to the right answer. So for example, if the student clicked right angle, you could say, are the two lines okay. This is a very, I wouldn't say the best help, but you get the idea that you could actually add help that would tell the student, hey, are these perpendicular? They're not perpendicular, so they can't be right angles. Now you could add hints. Hints are explaining what a right angle is, what an obtuse angle is, acute angle, so that if the students really give up and just use a hint, they get a step-by-step guide on how to approach or reach the answer. The other interesting facts here is tags. So this is a question where we are checking the evaluation skill. If it was knowledge, you could have just selected knowledge, so that once a student has answered questions and we know their score, we can actually analyze what level of Bloom's taxonomy or what level is their understanding, whether they're struggling in knowledge, comprehension, analysis. You could also add more tags, like this is types of angles. We say we want measurement. Angle measurement is a skill the child needs to know. There you go. So I've edited it, I've added some help here, and I'm going to save. You can see now this question has a help. So out of the 5 questions, the next thing you could do is make variations of it. So let's pick the same question. Let's pick this question and say you want to convert this from a single choice to actually a direct response type of question. So I change it to a direct response. This means the student has to actually type in acute, obtuse, right or straight. So there you go. You are asking the student to enter the option. So the right answer is obtuse. You can give the hint. You can add tags again, measurement. and I hit save. So I just converted this from a direct response quickly to, from an SCQ directly to a direct response questions. I could have gone back and said, hey, you know what? I want to make this into a sentence structuring question. Great. So what does sentence structuring mean? So I can say this is an I could say describe the angle in the picture below. So if you see, this was the right order. This is an obtuse angle. But once I type it in, the system automatically scrambles it for me, so that the student now has to actually form a sentence to describe this picture. So you can actually build a lot of English and grammatical skills, comprehension skills through the same type of question in math. I'm going to say this is a slightly difficult question. I'm going to save it. Right? So this is what he's going to see. He has to actually organize the sentence to form the right answer to move ahead. So as you saw, we could edit questions, we could modify the different types of question formats and templates that are there. Now let's see, how do we create a lot more questions. I have 5 questions here. I want to quickly make this into 10. So what I can do is I can just make copies of this. I say I take a copy of this. I want to make copies of this type. I want to make copy of this question. As I click this, you see these questions get added to a bucket. You can search within the bucket also for the questions. Now, I'm going to say I want to use the same format of the question. I drag it in here. And I had an MCQ for this one, but I want to make this into a direct response type of question. So I want the student to actually add, is this a straight line? So I'm going to put the answer. I'm going to single the angle. I'm going to give it a micro standard and I'm going to hit save. Now look, we have 6 questions. So I just reused an existing question, changed the type. I could modify it a little bit and quickly create another question by using the same base stem of the question. Similarly, I can do the arrange. Could say great, now I have an arrange for an obtuse angle. Why don't I put another image of an acute angle over here? So I'm going to change this. I'm going to, I need to find, I have a lot of images here. I just take this book and say arrange this with the angle created in the book. This is a right angle. That's it. I've added it here. I'm describing this as test.i.1 microstandard. I hit save. Now I have 7 questions. So as you can see, you can use the same question and quickly generate a lot of similar type of questions that you could reuse to create quizzes, create practices. And I'm going to take this off. So we've made 5 questions into 7 questions, made it more interactive, different types. If you want to add a question from scratch, you can click on new question. You want to save this particular order or you want to rearrange the questions, you could rearrange the questions here, and you could say I want to save this order, or I want to order by rank. That would order it by difficulty. So we've just seen how you could actually take an existing quiz, create new questions, copy new questions, edit it for different templates. So there you go, it's really simple. Now the last part that I want to show you is how you can use questions from an older quiz. Like I select these three and I want to put it into a new quiz. So I go to create quiz. I say this is test angles, test students knowledge about obtuse, acute and right angles. This is a spot quiz that I want to create. I go to subject, I say this is mathematics. This is for grade 3, provide Isaiah. Giving the time limits is 600 seconds and bonus points is 100. So now I've got the structure for the quiz. No questions. I pick questions from the bucket, I drop it here. All I need to do is just give it a micro standard. So I'm going to give it as micro standard. So test dot angles dot 1 and I hit save. Got my first question. Drag and drop the second one. I give it you can see it's already exists, so you just need to reuse that. I save 2 questions. Go, you've saved the order, and now I have a new quiz which is called test angles. If I want to make a copy of all of this, I can just hit bucket and it will create a copy of this test angles quiz that I could reuse under different learning objects, which could be angles basic, angles complex. Now we've just created test angles as a quiz. I want to show you how I could add this back into the lesson that we had created for angles, which had no quiz. So I'm going to rename it and say day 6. Angles are making a duplicate. It's right here. I go back to my curate. As you can see, the bucket remains irrespective of the view. Go back quickly to my right. So now I want to add these questions into my practice. Now the interesting thing is you could do that with 2 ways. You could change this micro standard. So I'm saying test dot angles dot 1 and I'm going to update. Once I've updated this lesson, let's see if this is going to work. There you go. So all the questions that I created with that tag got populated and became a quiz for me. So just by tagging questions with the right micro standards or the right ID, every single resource or object that has the same ID would be dragged into the same learning object. So you can see we created these 4 questions. You could go back and edit them. They all are part of this particular learning object, and the reason that it happened automatically is because we gave this the same tag when we created this. So there you go, you have now a practice quiz that comes with angles, and later on we are going to see how a student is going to take this too. Now say we want to generate a lesson plan can click on generate a lesson plan, and what the system is going to do is now it has created a lesson plan for me, which is called Angles Basic Lesson Plan. I'm going to save it. As you can see, it's created this basic lesson plan. Let me see what's in there. It should be very simple. There you go. I have a lesson plan, name, the course, the unit, topic, grade. If you see here, it's picked up some questions which the teacher can write on the board and say with the right answers that she can give the students. If we had more questions, this plan would be more full based on how detailed you want to give the objective. But this makes the life of a teacher really simple by just spending some time and creating a learning object or using someone else's learning object. You can get different parts of your teaching resources auto generated.